In every generation, there is one person who addresses the heavy issue.
Wait, hold on. Nobody said anything about heavy lifting.
Someone who does the in-depth and investigative reporting that other journalists are afraid to touch.
So am I gonna need gloves? Am I getting gloves?
A show that will ask the hard questions.
Referendums. Sounds like something I need a prescription for.
This is not that show. The Not So Late Show with Glenn Sherman.
Police officers seized the F&M chairman's laptops and cell phone. Find out why. The Prime Minister says his government will win the war on crime. An escaped suspect is back behind bars tonight. Plus, just how much will the IAAF relays cost taxpayers? We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Bonnie Toot, and NB12 starts now. Topping news tonight, we have a major development to tell you about tonight, and it relates to an ongoing investigation into the alleged leak of confidential information from the Bank of the Bahamas. 3 officers showed up at the Cable Beach home of Free National Movement Chairman Darron around 10 o'clock this morning and seized 2 laptop computers and his cell phone. MB12 was outside the home right after police left. With a report, here's Arcandia Dames.
NB12 arrived here at Mr. Cash's Western New Providence home just minutes after police left. Now, we are hearing that they took his laptop as well as a cell phone. This is obviously a very significant development in an ongoing probe into the reported leak of confidential documents from the Bank of the Bahamas. Weeks ago, matters relating to the Bank of the Bahamas became a major issue when the Punch newspaper alleged certain wrongdoings relating to the bank. The story was quickly picked up by the mainstream press, and the F&M chairman released repeated statements raising questions about the grant of loans and calling for a probe into the bank's affairs. In January, Cash said recent reports alleging that BOB may have been used as a political tool are making a lot of Bahamians uneasy. In one of his statements, Cash said, "Based on what numerous persons have reported to me and other party officers, I can assure you that members of the general public and investing public are very concerned about the state of affairs of that publicly traded financial institution." The bank repeatedly denied there was any wrongdoing. It said media reports suggesting political favoritism or political involvement in the granting of loans were simply untrue. It later announced that it was suing the Punch for what it called a combination of outright lies and numerous falsehoods and inaccuracies. Paul McQueenie, the bank's managing director, advised weeks ago that the bank had taken action to determine how the breach occurred. The probe apparently led police to Cash's home. Morning, Mr. Cash. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Good morning, Ms. Dames. Always a pleasure to see you.
We understand that the police were at your home not too long ago.
Well, news does travel fast in this town, but there have been some interesting developments, but for the moment I have no other comment but that.
Can you confirm that the police were indeed here a few minutes ago?
I have no other comments. We will certainly at a later point today.
Did they seize your computer? That's what we're hearing, and we also understand that this has something to do with Bank of the Bahamas.
For the third time, I will say, Ms. Dames, there have been some interesting developments, and we will have more to say at a later point.
Let me just ask you real quickly. I'm sure you're perhaps going to see an attorney. You must be real concerned about what transpired here.
Let me just say, I have no concerns. I have no concerns.
Do you plan to release a statement, Mr. Cash?
I do expect that we will have something to say later on this afternoon.
Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Hope to hear from you soon.
Certainly.
Okay. Determined not to say much to NB12, Cash then got into his car and drove away. We understand that he went to see his attorney, Carl Bethel, the former F&M chairman. Not long after, Bethel released a statement to the media. Bethel advised that a police inspector and 2 sergeants from the Central Detective Unit entered Cash's home pursuant to a search warrant reportedly issued by a magistrate and seized the computers and smartphone. According to Bethel, the items were grabbed from Cash's hands and taken by the police. Bethel said in the statement, "This action by the police is asserted by Mr. Cash to have been an unreasonable, unconstitutional, and unlawful seizure and search of his personal property, which contains personal business and general political information, emails and communications which relate to his profession as an accountant and generally to his political activities and responsibilities as the national chairman of the official opposition, as well as containing personal family communication and information." Bethel said immediate steps have been taken to seek redress for the violation of Cash's constitutional right to privacy. Now, we add here that Cash's wife is an employee of the Bank of the Bahamas. Now, we expect some twists and turns into this story in the coming days, and B12, of course, will bring you the latest developments as they unfold. Reporting for NB12, I'm Candia Dames.
Faced with 8 homicides in just over a week, Prime Minister Christie has declared his government cannot lose the war on crime. He suggested that officials have failed to meet certain challenges, noting it's something he discussed with the leadership of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. Christie says the government is now moving with due speed to address the critical situation it is faced with.
However difficult it appears, we cannot lose the war.
Speaking with reporters at the office of the Prime Minister today, Christie asserted the government must be more proactive in determining what possible crime-fighting solutions to apply in what he called a hostile arena. The Prime Minister says they met with senior police officers and discussed the failure to address certain challenges.
Those officers who we have been meeting with that are part of the leadership of the Royal Bahamas Police Force are aware of where certain challenges that ought to have been met have not been met, and moving with the minister with due speed.
On Tuesday morning, the badly burned body of a man was discovered at the back of a church. An 18-year-old man was shot dead while playing dominoes the night before. Just one day before that, a 21-year-old pregnant woman was shot multiple times as she slept in her Millennium Gardens home.
If you kill someone over a plate of food, or you're driving with a friend and you get into an argument and shoot your friend, it is so, the unpredictability of such events are so extraordinary, notwithstanding challenges. We are the government of the Bahamas. We are elected to govern, and that we will continue to examine all of the strategies that are recommended to us.
Prime Minister Christie says he is also bothered by the number of crimes being committed in his constituency and that of the National Security Minister.
The vexing and frustration that I have really is that I continue to know that the crime, the bulk of the crime is taking place in areas that I represent and that Dr. Nottage represents, and that there must be a strategy to cause that crime to be abated, minimized, disrupted.
A police suspect who police say escaped from the Grove police station last week is back behind bars tonight. Police today thanking members of the public for their tips on his whereabouts, but officers still need more help to find other wanted suspects. Dana Smith reports.
In a mass operation last night, police arrested more than 20 people, including the man who escaped from a police station last Friday. And now police need your help in locating 4 more men who are wanted for murder.
We want to commend the members of the public for assisting us with this arrest. This is going to be take a dent, because these are prolific offenders that we arrested last night. And we know that we will be charging for a number of outstanding matters.
Superintendent Christopher Pickstock led last night's operation, which saw officers arrest 25 people in connection with a series of offenses, including armed robbery and murder. Chief among the men taken into custody, Dean said, was 22-year-old Tamiko Williams, who escaped from the Grove police station last Friday.
What is highlighted among that we was able to arrest a wanted person. A person who was wanted for escaping lawful custody over the weekend, and particularly Friday night. Tamiko Williams of Padolia Street.
Williams was being held on armed robbery and burglary-related charges, and his escape from custody was widely broadcast by the media when it was reported this past Monday. Dean said police are still investigating the circumstances surrounding his escape.
The matter has been investigated internally also, whether we have to discipline some people or we have to improve some security measures. So we are looking at the matter.
But as a result of the media coverage about Williams' escape, Dean said police received hundreds of calls from members of the public, and those calls ultimately helped officers to arrest Williams in the Cable Beach area. In light of that success, police are appealing to members of the public to assist in finding more wanted suspects.
I do wish to appeal to members of the public. This young man here, Sherwin Munnings. Sherwin Munnings, he is the second suspect that we are looking for in the homicide that took place on Key West Street. This young man here, Antoine Hamilton, alias Tones, he's also wanted for murder. We would like to question him. And Jermaine Scott from the Golden Gates community, we'd like to, his family, to encourage him to come in and see us. Please, Jermaine Scott. And Hamilton, he's a resident of Jacaranda Street in Pinewood Gardens. And so these individuals here, we would like to, the public assistance in helping us to bring those persons in to answer to these allegations of murder.
19-year-old Sherwin Munnings of Montel Heights, 26-year-old Antoine Hamilton, a.k.a. Tones, of Summer Street, Nassau Village, 30-year-old Jermaine Scott of Golden Gates, and 35-year-old Marvin Hamilton of Jacaranda Street are wanted in connection with recent murders that have taken place in the last couple of weeks, according to police.
These are some dangerous people, and we need you to assist us once more, just like how you delivered for us last night, to deliver for us today and bringing these dangerous people off the streets.
Police this morning also noted a man was arrested for harboring Tamiko Williams, and officials warn if anyone is found harboring wanted suspects, that person can also be arrested. From the Central Detective Unit for NB12, I'm Dana Smith.
Amid harsh criticism over his government's handling of the constitutional referendum, crime and VAT implementation, Prime Minister Christie says he will hold a news conference on Wednesday to speak effectively on Bahamians' concerns and the PLP's government's accomplishments over the past 2 years. Wednesday, May 7th, will mark the second anniversary of the Progressive Liberal Party's 2012 election victory.
I would wish to use the second anniversary as an occasion where I can speak effectively on all of the concerns of the country, as well as all of the what I regard as the achievements.
Christie says on that day he would have no problem taking questions of any kind from the media.
Rather than take a spotted ad hoc approach to it, I want to have an organized approach to the second anniversary and to be able to sit and answer questions and all the questions you have. And so ZNS may organize it, but most certainly I have no difficulty of any of you sitting and asking me questions of any kind that you would wish to ask.
During a news conference on Wednesday, DNA leader Branville McCartney said almost 2 years into the PLP's current term in office, it has fallen into disarray as a government with a failed legislative agenda.